Simone Biles comes back, gets a bronze medal. I got to tell you, I never felt totally comfortable speaking about Simone because of the code. You don't ever kick somebody when they're down. It's just one of those things. You give them a hand up. Now, once they're back on top, they're back to being fair game. Simone pulls out. She felt some pressure. She leaves her team. She quits on the team. That happened. She works out whatever she works out in conjunction with USA Gymnastics putting out completely false statements. I mean, USA, we're monitoring her. We're going to continue to monitor her daily. You're not doing a goddamn thing. She'll tell you whether she's going to compete or not, the same as she did the first time. When she said she was going to compete, you bought her an airlines ticket. She said, I'm not going to compete, and you pulled her on the sidelines. Same as will happen and now has happened when she come back and tell you a third time she's going to compete and you stuck her back on the mat. I mean, USAG, as bad as they could screw anything up over the last 10 years of all of the lawsuits and everything they've been drugged through, they got to know when to just shut their mouths. And it's the golden rule. If you can't tell the truth, say nothing at all. And USAG can never tell the truth, including on something as silly as whether an athlete is going to walk on a beam or not. Okay. So here we are, and she comes back and she does it, and she got third. I love that. I love that very much. But now that we are speaking freely on the topic, it's what I had as a problem when she quit in the first place. If she was in the lead, if she had done her best routine, if she was sticking landings and she wants to stop, it's completely different. Then you have a bad day, you don't like where the result is heading, so you quit. It's very, very different. Because as an athlete, you owe the competition their due. If they're good enough to beat you, or if you're bad enough that they can beat you, you got to let them beat you. That was the biggest problem of Simone quitting. It wasn't her feeling pressure or her being honest with people or her needing to be assessed. That's all human and that's all fair. It was even maybe polite that she brought us in on that because she didn't owe it to us. She could have just sat down. It was a cool move that she shared with us why. The problem was it wasn't going great when she held up the white flag. Do you guys see the difference? If something has began and you don't like where the outcome is headed and you quit, it's very different. I had a coach when I was growing up, Roy Pittman, and he would show up to every tournament every Saturday. He never missed, still hasn't in 54 years. But he would have a white towel over his shoulder. Now, the white towel being the universal sign of surrender, he would take that towel and he would throw the towel in during a wrestling match. That would cost his guy the match. Ref, we're done. Stop the match. My guy loses. In my time with him, he'd only thrown the towel in twice. I don't know if he's thrown it in since. I'm going to leave it at 2 for the sake of the story. But Coach Pittman would never threaten to stop a match and never did stop a match if his athlete was losing. He would only throw the towel in and stop the match if his athlete was winning. Now, you stop the match because the athlete wasn't doing his best, or the athlete wasn't listening to the coach, or the athlete was trying to make the opponent look bad, which in wrestling is easy to do if you're meaningfully better than your opponent. You can take them down and let them up. You can push them and shove them. You can toy with them. There's things that you can do. If you tried to make the opponent look bad, he would stop the match. He would wait until the opponent had scored more points on you. I apologize. He'd wait until you scored more on the opponent. He would never stop it if his guy was behind because that's an excuse. That's a way out. To stop a match and then with the Conor McGregor, what was a doctor stoppage? Who gives a goddamn how you lost? Who cares how you got beat? It doesn't make a bit of difference. There's no silver lining to put on it. And if you attempt to, you're taking away from the opponent, which is unsportsmanlike. So that was the biggest problem with Simone quitting. It wasn't the pressure. It wasn't all the human emotion. The biggest problem is the competition had began. She did not like how it was going, and she took away from the win of the opponent. She tried the old Conor McGregor, doctor stoppage doesn't count. Yes, it does. It absolutely counts, and you should have finished the competition, including coming in second, third, fourth, or fifth. You should have lived with the result, the same as you forced your opponents to do. So when she came back and got third is why I'm complimenting her. She did the same thing in the beam routine as she had just given up on a week before. She did not look great, but she didn't quit. She stayed the course. She let the people who showed up on the same day in the same competition upon the agreed rules as her have their due. She took to the stand. She got the bronze put around her neck. But that's procedure. It's the right thing to do. It speaks to character. It fixed what had happened before, which also spoke to character. Good news in life, you get a redo. You get to fix it. There's reset buttons that are built in. The world's a big place, and I see people get stuck in the cracks. I see it all the time. I see it in sports. The guy dropped the ball his senior year in the playoff game, and now he's a drunk 20 years later. But he can tell you why he's a drunk, why he's not a good family member, husband and or father, why he can't keep a job down. He can tell you specifically. It's all because he dropped the ball in the game. But there's all sorts of ball dropping in the game stories. People get stuck in the cracks. There's built-in reset buttons in life. No matter what you did in life, when you graduate high school, it's all forgiven. It's all forgiven. Wouldn't matter how much time you spent in the principal's office, what papers you didn't turn in, it's all forgiven. You get that same redo if you go through college and you get that graduation. You get that same redo the day you get married and the day that you have kids. There's these built-in reset buttons within society. But if society doesn't give you a reset button that you need, take one anyway. If you're doing something that you don't want to be doing, it's not other people that are telling you. It's not just your parents or your friends that are going to sit you down and tell you, know good and well, I'm being a knucklehead. I don't want to do that anymore. And starting today, I stop.